Well, I spent 14 years with Austin Energy in the Green Building Program, and 12 years of that was spent on developing the City of Austin's residential energy code, looking at energy efficiency and trying to develop code for net zero energy homes. And since retired from that, but I'm still interested, still keep my hand in environmental issues and energy efficiency, and so that's why I'm here, to just see what kind of progress is being made on reducing greenhouse gas emissions and seeing if we can keep the planet from heating up anymore. We're making progress, but it's baby steps. I mean, I was at COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh a year ago and made a little bit of progress then. It looks like we're making a little bit of progress now, although the fossil fuel industry is pushing back pretty hard for, no surprises there. We need to make more progress, though. I think in the next 2, 3, 4 years, we'll know if we've done enough. Hopefully we have, because if we haven't, there's really no turning back the clock. We're kind of stuck on the course that we're on. And then we'll have to focus more on resiliency and adaptation rather than trying to reduce greenhouse gas emissions or the effects of those emissions. Really, most of the real change happens at the local level, not at the national level or international level. I mean, it's individuals and it's local governments and the individuals in those local governments that make the real change. Fortunately, they're finally getting some support here. Local governments are getting the recognition and support that they've long, deserved and haven't gotten as agents of change, positive change. That's a good thing. They need more assistance, not just in the United States, but every country needs to be working with their local governments and their local elected officials to really push an agenda of change, and also give them assistance and the resources and money to make it happen, because that's really what it takes. It's going to take resources. It's going to take money. There's no way to do this on a budget, or you can't give it short shrift. You got to invest in it. You got to invest in it like you mean it. There's an understanding of the importance of green building and energy efficiency in buildings in Austin, and even in the surrounding area. I mean, regionally, there's recognition of that. It's, you won't find too many people that don't think it's important. Internationally, it's harder to say. I know at Sharm el-Sheikh a year ago, COP27, there was very little about building energy efficiency, and I was talking to some of the people with AIA, the architects, and ASHRAE, the engineers, about how there was very little focus on it when it was so important. There seems to be more of it this year. It's going to be later on this week and maybe next week. And so that's good, but darn, it should have happened, some time ago, not right now. There's a lot of progress being made on building energy efficiency, but the problem I see is that as the planet heats up, we're going to need buildings to be even more efficient, and I'm not sure we're going to be able to stay even with the curve, much less ahead of it. I think we're behind that curve, and it's going to be really tough, keeping up and keeping our head above water, so to speak. We can do it. The knowledge is there. The technology's there. It's just the will and the resources and the kind of commitment to apply those resources is lacking in quite a few places. Texas has always been a tough case. I mean, I've been involved in Texas politics in one way or the other for about 40 years. And it's always been sort of like, kind of tomorrow. We'll address this tomorrow. We don't need to address this. And then we find out, oh my God, we should have been addressing this problem and we didn't. And what do we do now? And now it's going to cost a lot more money, so maybe we'll just punt and things will kind of take care of itself. And kind of like we do with public education. I mean, that's just an example of how we have not addressed the need in Texas. And now we have 30 million people in the state. And the need is much greater to pay attention to the things that really matter and things that are going to affect a lot of people's lives. We definitely need elected officials in Texas, both at the local and state level, that are just more plugged in and more committed to making a positive difference and looking to the future, and not just like a year or 5 years or 10 years, but this generation, the next generation. Brigid likes to make the point that there's going to be climate disruption and people are going to have to move from where they live now. And some of those people are going to come to Texas. We're going to have people down on the Gulf Coast that move to North Texas. And so how are we going to accommodate that shift in population and that shift in kind of need? No one is even looking at that. And that's pretty disturbing. We better start planning for it now, because we are not going to be able to address it very well by accident or happenstance. It's very tough to kind of figure out how the difference between, things are pretty good and we're addressing the problem and the future is looking pretty good, and then, oh my God, we haven't done enough, things are going to get really bad. No one wants to get out there and say, we screwed up and things are terrible and there's no hope, because then everybody quits. It's really easy to just say quit and walk away and say, well, I've got the resources, I've got the money, I've got the whatever, I can weather it, and it's a problem for someone else. And that's the biggest challenge, I think, too. The rich countries and rich individuals will be able to essentially pay for their resilience or their kind of solution, and it's gonna fall on the poor and the displaced and people that aren't as fortunate. I like to say, if you want to deal with climate change, you better be tough, smart, or rich, or a combination of those. But that's kind of me being kind of cynical. Me being hopeful is, we need to help the people that may not be rich and may not be as smart and may not be as tough. The more vulnerable ones. Those are the ones we really need to kind of work with and help, and try to make sure they're brought along and they're taken care of and not left behind. If we don't care about them, why are we even here doing all this and trying to make a difference? So really, to me, being here at COP and trying to make a difference is because we care about those people who are at most risk of displacement and damage from climate change. And that's who we really need to focus on helping.